Hey, Nelson, alcoholic addict. That is not my real name. That's the pen name that I use here at LOL Sober. I was driving across town the other day and I saw a sign hanging up that advertised a prescription drug drop-off day. And it said, drop off anonymous, no questions asked, just drop off your old prescription drugs. As much as I hate to admit this, my first thought was, oh my God, who would give up their drugs for something like that? What? And it's similar to how I first react when I see somebody at a restaurant get up from the table to leave and there's a half beer or a half a mixed drink on the table still. I have never done that in my entire life, even early on in my drinking days. You always finish the drink, right? My second thought was even worse. I went through this 5-second contemplation about the prescription drug drop-off day and what a great robbery option it would have been back in the day, to just go and steal everything that got dropped off at a free drug drop-off day. It just felt like a jackpot if I was in the robbery business still. Well, and again, I'm not proud of my brain sometimes, but that's the truth. I have the same addict brain sometimes when it comes to immediate reactions, even though I'm not an active addict anymore. An important thing that I've come to realize in recent years is that I just need to accept that I am Pavlovian when it comes to seeing beer commercials and walking through a pharmacy and looking at a person's medicine cabinet. Just like Pavlov's dogs, my lizard brain associates alcohol and drugs with something that I need to have. And I've begun to just accept that's my first thought, and I'm powerless over it. The part that's important, though, is I am responsible for the next thought. And for that next thought, luckily, my lizard brain has added on a sober brain that usually ends up with veto power over the addict part, at least for the last 13 years. And that day when I saw that sign about the prescription drugs, my sober brain kicked into gear with a lot more productive thoughts than robbing the community prescription drug drop-off day. For example, my sober brain said, that's awesome that we have options for people to safely drop off their prescription drugs, no questions asked. That seems like a great thing. You want that. And then another thought was maybe, just maybe, if every town has these, maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe 5 people out there, they don't overdose because a bunch of stray prescription drugs were in somebody's medicine cabinet. Maybe an addict never even gets started on pills because their grandparents threw out those prescription drugs. So that's also a good thing about prescription drug drop-off day. And last but not least, on the productive brain part of this, I'm so glad I don't have to actually plan out a prescription drug drop-off day heist. I'm so glad that I don't have to think like that anymore. I never did anything like that during my active addiction days, but I can't say I never would have. I often hear stories about people who have an opiate addiction and eventually turn toward heroin because it can sometimes be cheaper than opiates, believe it or not. When I hear those things, I have no choice but to nod my head and think, I never did that, but that is a yet. Y-E-T, that is a yet for me because I could totally have seen myself eventually going that way. Same with robbing people or places to sustain my drinking and drugging problem. I didn't actually do it while I was active, but was I capable of it? Well, I'll tell you this much. I had about 1,000 things I said I would never, ever, 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 ever do, and then I did them. So I'm not going to lie and say I could never have driven over and then stolen the town's prescription drug drop-off truck and drove off with it. I will not say that that's impossible. So, man, it's nice. I don't have any prescription drugs to drop off, and I don't really want to. So I'm going to stay as far the hell away as possible from prescription drug drop-off day, even while I applaud that it exists. Thank you for letting me share.